Okay, now, the first batch of exercises is dedicated to the visual attention or visual perception training. To look and see. Look into the chandelier in this room. And what does it mean to look into in life? This means lodging the object in memory so that it will not be forgotten later. Looking into is not only to look but also to see. Not watching passively but also cognizing. To see is to perceive what you saw. To look and see. How, why, which inner motive makes me look. Looking is a passive activity. Seeing is an active live action. Seeing means combining vision and thought in one focus, on one object of attention, as it was called in the old exercises. Since it is so, then looking into the chandelier, you have to think. About what? Starting to examine the lines, colors, and shape of the chandelier. Let your imagination run within free, careless dreams, as Stanislavski put it. They will help you see the chandelier for real, capture it in your memory. Who knows, maybe this chandelier shone during secret meetings of the Decembrists, and after that it hung for a long time abandoned in an empty house, while its owners languished far in the snow in the north, underground, shackled, with their hands chained to wheelbarrows. This is how Stanislavski begins the chandelier's biography, by fantasizing along those lines while looking at the chandelier. We help it take root in our imagination. Let's check. You have been looking at the chandelier, but now describe it to your partner. Now take a look at it. What have you forgotten? What have you described incorrectly? With what purpose are you looking into a chandelier? As soon as we train creative perceptions, let's set ourselves a creative goal, introducing the magical if. If I wanted to draw it later from memory, if I was going to move it to my room, if I wanted to take it to a thrift shop, the content of our thoughts will change right away. Careless dreams will disappear. Thought will become active and purposeful. A palm. Stanislavski's assignment. Look into your own palm. Count how many folds and lines it has. What for? Come up with any purpose. But maybe you are just curious to get to know your own palm in earnest. Look through all the folds one by one. Guess how they appeared. Be amazed at the practical and expedient palm arrangement. You can be proud of it. This is a genius work of nature. Your own 10 fingers. When we know something very well, we say that we know it like one knows their 10 fingers. Do we know them well indeed, our 10 fingers? Look into them carefully. You will discover a lot of new things that remained unnoticed before. Take your partner's hand for comparison. Who will find more new things in their 10 fingers? Take a look at your 10 fingers and turn away. Is there a difference between the left 5 and the right 5? No difference? Take a closer look. Move your fingers, first with your left hand, then with your right. Tell us how one 5 is different from another. How is your left little finger different from your right one? Give your hand to a partner. Say hello to him with your little fingers. How is his little finger different from yours? Your own watch. Are you familiar with your wristwatch? Take it off and send it round. Tell about it, recalling, and your partners will check you. Take it for a minute, examine and give it back to your partners. Tell us. Recall the shape of the 6 on the clock dial. And the 3. Recall the hour hand. What does its tip look like? What is written under the 6? An antique piece. A large antique coin. Copper dime, 1836. I send the coin round, examine it carefully from all sides. Have you looked into everything? Divide into a group of heads and a group of tails. Each group assigns one checker. The groups sit down one opposite the other and the checkers sit next to each other. Checkers, take the coin. Heads group, recall your side of the coin and tell the other group about it. Let them ask. Clarify all the details. Checkers, follow the description, then add what is missing. Group of tails, tell us about your side. And if it was the coin Pushkin was holding in his hands. Yes, a coin from the museum, from Pushkin's purse. Believe me that it is so. Pushkin had this heavy copper dime with roughly chipped edges, and he, like you now, looked at the eagle with wings spread at this two-headed evil creature. Pass it to each other. Look into it again. What a silence in the audience. How careful your fingers have become. You can return to such exercises after a while, in order not only to strengthen visual memory, but to train the acting fantasy as well. Remember Pushkin's dime. Here it is. Check your memories. And if you were museum experts who needed to determine whether this is the authentical dime, it disappeared from the glass case a week ago, and now they brought you a coin found on the street. Did you establish it is the same one? Which signs helped you to do that? Think about its biography, about all its wanderings from wallet to wallet. Look into the objects. At one of the classes, the teacher told one of the students to take a good look at the back of the chair. Me, a fake enamel on the table. He gave a trinket to the third, the fourth a pencil, the fifth a rope, the sixth a match, and so on. With a made-up active goal, challenge yourself to get a better look at the objects. Try to see something unusual, wonderful, amazing in these simple things. Something that you have not even suspected before. Speaking about visual attention as a tool for obtaining creative material, Stanislavski wrote that it is necessary by the face, by the look, by the voice tone, to be able to distinguish what is going on with a person, in what state they are, what they are thinking about. We constantly try to do this in life, but often limit ourselves to the first superficial impressions or judge by ourselves. Actors need to train themselves to pierce deeper into the partner's state. Such ability is a subject of development, and you need to start small. To begin with, Stanislavski advises, take a flower or a leaf, or patterns of frost on glass, and so on. Try to define in words what you like about them. It is necessary to develop in oneself not just the habit of observing, but to make it impossible to live and not to observe, not to absorb all the impressions that the world around provides. What does this tree outside the window look like? Look at its branches. Are not they the paws of some strange rearing animal? Leonardo da Vinci recommended that the artist should develop his imagination examining the wall spots. You can see different battles there, he claimed. The rapid movements of the strange figures, facial expressions, clothes, and infinitely many things. Fantasy manifests itself in the work of the imagination of a person with developed associative thinking, with trained visual memory, which is the basis of image thinking. Everything that surrounds us in the room can be an object of fantasy. The lines of the parquet wood layers, shadows on the ceiling, folds of curtains, tablecloth, clothes. Let's throw a few matches on the table. Let them fall randomly. Look closely. What does this remind you of? Objects on the table. On the teacher's table are laid out a notebook, a pen, a spectacle case, paper, coins. Go to the table and take pictures of all the objects with your inner vision. We will take pictures with a short shutter speed, up to a count of 5. 4, 5. Now turn away or close your eyes and develop the photograph on your screen of inner vision. Tell us which items are on the table, in which order. Recall them. Check them out. To do this, open your eyes and look. Turn away. What have you forgotten? What have you missed? Look. Turn away. What has changed? What have I shifted to another place? What is new on the table? Arrange things as they were at the beginning. Check with the photograph that is stored in your memory. Needless to say, there are no photos. Where are these mental images? Where their originals are? On the table. Exchanging things. An assignment to everyone. Take a small object from your belongings. A comb, a pen, a key. While I am counting to 20, take a close look at the object. 19, 20. Exchange items with your partner. Look into this new item. 19, 20. Stop. Now tell each other in turn, first about one object, then about another, and let the partner check here. Don't miss any of the smallest details. And what is this scratch on the comb? When did it appear? Why? Recall or fantasize over it. The partner's watch. How long has he had it? Did he buy it or was it a gift? Decide who presented it. Why did you decide so? Did the partner believe you? Have you convinced him? This way, the visual memory training is associated with the development of imagination, which is inseparable from observation. Photographers. Students sit in a semicircle. One of them, standing in front of the semicircle, takes a picture of his partners. With a pre-agreed exposure at the count of 20, 10, or 15. And then goes out. During a short break, the students change seats. You can call the photographer back. How did your partner sit before? Approach those who changed their posture. Return them to their previous positions. There are chairs on the opening. One or more students take a picture with a short exposure on the count of 3, 2, or 1. The general view of the room and go out. While they are outside, the position of the chairs is changed, and it is better not to do a complete rearrangement, but only slightly change the position of 2 or 3 chairs. Come in. How was it before? 2 students stand in front of a semicircle, and everyone who are sitting take pictures of them with an agreed exposure. Then these two go out and change something in their appearance, hairstyle, or change some details of their clothes. When they enter the room, the rest have to recall how it was before. The teacher lays out several small items on the table, calls the 3 students. Take pictures of all these items. Close your eyes. Now I will mix all the objects and you, without opening your eyes, lay them out as they were put at the beginning. How did matches fall? The teacher throws several matches on the table. 5 students to the table. On the count of 3, remember how the matches are. Then he covers the matches with a piece of paper. How many matches were there? 8? Here are 8 new matches, and arrange them the same way on the other end of the table. Ready? Check it out. I will raise the sheet on the count of 2. 1, 2. Correct your mistakes. Done. The sheet of paper is raised again. 5 more students to the table. Take your partner's work over. Is everything alright with it? A street photographer. An individual training exercise that develops visual memory and observation skills. When you walk down the street, practice instant photography. Here is a man coming towards you. Direct the lens at him and draw it aside in a second. Immediately restore the image in the memory and then verify the photo against the original. As we do in the photography, taking a picture, developing, printing, reviewing the prints. Same way, exercise your memory by photographing billboards, shop windows, houses. Your eye should be able to accurately capture an image in every detail in a second. More accurately, your eye can do it. It does just that all the time, but we do not always know how to perceive the image captured by the memory. This skill must be trained. Indian games. 2 parties of students, each secretly from the other, set up several different objects in their camp in a certain order. The elected referee brings one team of the students, their eyes must be closed, to the other party's camp. On the 1, 2, 3 count, the students look at the object set, then turn away. After the students tell what they saw, the judge announces the winning party. Single tests are also performed. Each team allocates 1 spotting sniper. Then all the students of one party are judges for the snipers of the other. 1-letter words. Another exercise that trains visual memory and observation. While I count to 30, find and memorize all the objects in the room which names begin with the letter in 3 letters. Describing a partner with words starting with 3 letters having been picked. The letters can be random ones or the ones that are present in the partner's name. Shift lever. The students are in a semicircle. Everyone takes an object, a watch, a hairbrush, a box of matches. Look carefully into what you have in your hands. Decide why and for what purpose are you looking at this thing. At my knock, switch your vision from the object to the wall and again to the object. Control how your thoughts run. When you look at the watch, look for new unknown features in it, and then, at my command, as if Switching the attention lever to the entire space of the wall, remember which thought you stopped at. Going back on the next command to this object, also return to the interrupted thought. Continue it, and do not start all over again. The intervals between commands are gradually reduced from a minute to a few seconds. 3 points. Switch quickly between middle and close points, every time justifying the switch. The ability to switch the mechanisms of perception at one's discretion is a valuable skill that helps to control oneself in action. Select some distant object point, for example that radio antenna over there on the distant rooftop outside the window. Look into it attentively. Think about how it was fixed there, who did it. And you need to install a television antenna at that place. Imagine how you would do it. Now select a close object point, one of the little things on the table in front of you. Ashtray? Yes, it's ceramics. Just think about whether you will be able to mold a similar one yourself, paint it with the same patterns and fire it. I wonder if you can fire in a gas oven. At my command, switch your vision from the close point to the distant one. Vision and hence thoughts about the object. Look at the antenna, recall which thought you stopped at when I started talking to you about the ashtray. Look into the close object, distant one, close again. At first, you need to give enough time so that the student would be able to collect thoughts, remember what he was thinking about, then shorten the pauses between the switches. And finally, not in the first session, complicate the exercise. Let's introduce a transitional medium object point. Examine the detail of the ornamental pattern on the window shade. What does this abstract figure remind you of? Arm semaphore, and what else? Distant, medium, close, medium. Faraway points. Exercises with distant points on the street, in the field. In the farthest window, try to see what is happening inside the room. Of course, you will have to fantasize about what is happening there, but first try to see everything that is possible, and then, based on what you see, complete the picture in your imagination. Imagine in every detail what kind of life is going on in the distant window, what is happening there right now, when you look into the window. Try to make out the most distant bell tower or the church's cross. Is there snow on it, or are crows sitting on it? No bell tower? Pick something else. Do you see a tall tree in the distance over there? What if you were assigned with setting up a hidden observation post at the top of that distant pine tree? Is that tree good enough? Then figure out how everything will need to be equipped there. Which branches to weave, what to remove, what to add in order to position yourself there unnoticed. To practice switching from a distant point to a close one, look at a pebble at your feet. This is a meteorite fragment. You must not touch it until the expedition head arrives. Look into it carefully. Compare it mentally to ordinary pebbles. Find how it differs from them. Switch your vision and thought from a distant point to a close one, from a close one to a small-scale one. It is necessary that when you switch, you instantly return to the interrupted thought. It is not as easy as it sounds. It is essential to return exactly to the thought which the switch caught you on, to that very one. I need to try a long-range gun or a cannon. Pick the most distant point. Aim the gun at it. Consider that your phenomenal gun shoots without a miss, and you have a hawkish vision. Place the imaginary target as far away on the horizon line as possible. Place the second target not far, about 100 meters from you. Now, mentally aim and shoot. One shot at the distant target, another at the 100 meters one, the third at the distant target, etc. Justify the shots with figments of imagination. Catch the difference between one visual setting from another. When you get home, try to reproduce the distant visual setting. The room walls will interfere with it. Make sure that your gaze, both in the room and on the stage, could be directed as far as the circumstances of your imagination require. This is necessary for the correct stage self-feeling, but it does not always work. Train yourself. 3 circles of attention. While training the switching of visual perceptions, we will use the 3 circles of attention exercises: small, medium, and large. Let us agree to take a small circle as a small area around a person, limited by their arms and legs movements. If people sit or stand, immersed in their thoughts, or walk, thinking, not paying attention to their surroundings, they are in a small circle. The middle circle is a larger area. It can be a part of a room or even the entire space of a small room. The large circle is the whole area of our large acting auditorium. If we were in the fields, the size of the largest circle would be determined by the horizon line and would depend on our farsightedness. Our task is to develop an unconscious, mechanical transition from the small circle to the large one and back. Stanislavski gives an advice. If you get lost in the large circle, quickly cling to an object point. Holding onto it, create yourself a small circle and then a medium one. You can engage in switching objects of visual perception in any circumstances, indoors or outdoors, at home or in a trolley bus. The main thing is to transfer oneself from one imaginary circle to another, expanding or narrowing the field of perception or area of attention. To be in a circle means, first of all, to actively live, see, think in this circle. The content of thoughts and the degree of their activity depend on the fictitious circumstances of action. At the same time, there is no need to set goals as to collect attention, to direct it and strengthen it. You should look and see. You should collect thoughts that correspond to the given circumstances and strengthen these circumstances with new figments of imagination. It is not necessary to hold the boundaries of attention as something self-sufficient. It is necessary to keep thoughts within the boundaries of a given fiction by volitional efforts, conation, not to think about unrelated things. Then the boundaries of the circles of attention would not be violated. Finally, broadening the circles of attention means broadening and changing the given circumstances. Example: a small circle. I am alone in the field of perception, thinking about how to leave a session to get to the latest screening. Medium circle. My neighbors are in the field of perception, guessing if one of them told the secret I had shared to the other one. Large circle. The whole room is in the field of perception. I know that our class has been assigned to a new auditorium. How should I tell the whole group and what would their reaction be? Visual perceptions play a major role in this exercise, and all the figments of imagination come from the environment around me, are objectively and closely related to it. Thinking on a fictional topic, I continually look at and evaluate what I see, adding a magical if. The result is an active action, belief in my invention's reality. And yet, the circumstances are different everywhere. This must be remembered in order to switch both vision and thought. The benefits of the exercise are also undoubted, because the ability to think in stage conditions, in fictitious circumstances, is trained. It is necessary to constantly train this skill. On your own, without my signals, sitting still, switch from small circle to medium one, from medium to large one, and so on in any sequence. Take your time, think thoroughly. Don't switch quickly at first, but gradually shorten the transition time from one circle to another. Every time when you return to the circle of previous thoughts, resume the thought from where you left it last time. Tell us what situations you have been in. Did you quickly manage to direct the thought along the right path when switching? How did you feel when your field of attention expanded or narrowed? The partner's eyes. Students sit in 2 rows, facing each other. Everybody turn away. Do you remember the partners sitting opposite you well? Recall what their eyes are, size, shape, color. On the count of 10, check your memory. Look sequentially through the eyes of everyone sitting opposite. Apportion the time. You need to see everyone while I count to 10. Turn your head. 9, 10. Don't close your eyes, just turn away. First a student on the left, tell me. Others, check the description, compare it with your inner vision. Mentally reseat everyone sitting opposite to you in this order. The lightest eyed should sit on the left and the darkest eyed on the right. Don't look at them. Turn away. Ready? Do a short check on the count of 5. Look. 4, 5. Turn away. Tell us how you reseated your partners. What's new in their position? Checking the degree of the observation development, the teacher asks the students at the beginning of the session, "What new have you noticed in our room today? How were the chairs standing yesterday when you left? What's new in your partner's clothes today? Who wears another dress? Has other shoes? Remember what new you saw today on the street when you left the house." Look into people. An assignment. I look into 2 people, searching for similarities or differences in them. Let everyone sitting in this semicircle look into their right and left partner. Nothing similar? And you take a closer look. Start by searching for similarities. Hair of different shades, but identically thin and soft. And here it is, long and coarser. Hence, one has a wide and short palm. The other has a narrow one. But pay attention to the nail shape, to the lunule pattern. They are very similar. Keep looking. Think about the characters and behaviors. What is the reason you are looking into them? Oh, that's why you want to entrust one of them with the role of the other in the actor's party. And why are you looking into them? An assignment for everyone. Observing 2 talkers on the street. Find out in which way they are similar to each other internally and externally, despite all their differences, and what exactly is the difference between them, external and internal, in character. The Matchbox's biography. Find something new, unknown to you in a well-known matchbox. Fantasize over how was it made. What is imagined in the first instance? Forest, trees are cut down. They are taken to the sawmill. It is nothing that you do not know how matchboxes are made in all the details. Just imagine. Think how many people have participated in the Matchbox's biography, from a lumberjack to a store clerk. Walk through this biography in your mind, sequentially, from the beginning to the present day. It will be easier for you to understand how it was made and what way it went through if you look closely at it. By signs that are not immediately noticeable, you will find traces of the biography. Now you are really familiar with the matchbox. Hide it and describe it to us. Take another matchbox with the same label. Are they both seem to be the same? Yet find the difference between them. Why did you need to compare them? What purpose in life could make you do this? You collect labels, don't you? Biography of a passerby or a travel companion. One of the individual exercises that train visual perception and visual memory for the development of observation and imagination is observing a random fellow traveler on a bus or a passerby on the street. You have to solve what kind of a person they are, what they are and where they work, what kind of family they have, who is close to them, with whom they are at enmity, what they love and avoid, what they are doing now, what they are thinking about, where they are going. Do not surrender to the power of first impressions. Be sure to check each new guess by comparing all the person's actions for the entire time of observation. You are walking down the street. How many biographies are around you? How many destinies, characters? Take a closer look at people, by the details of clothes, by some minor behavioral things, by the way a passerby walks, what and how he looks at something, what they do not pay attention to. Guess the person. Does this sound like Sherlock Holmes's class? Well, we should not neglect his experience, since it can help us understand the springs of life behavior. Conan Doyle said this way about a person who can think logically. Let him, looking at the first comer, learn to immediately identify his past and his profession. At first, it may seem childish, but such exercises sharpen observation and teach how to look and what to look at. By a person's nails, by his sleeves, shoes, and the trousers fold on his knees, by the bulges on the thumb and forefinger, by the expression on his face and the cuffs of his shirt, by such trifles one can guess his profession. Looking at a person, try to imagine them at work, at home, on a walk outside the city. Imagine how they dine in the dining room, how they talk to children, how angry and how happy they are, how they do what they love. From time to time, students talk about the most interesting biographies in the class. There should be such a story that everyone clearly sees the person. It is the responsibility of the storyteller to prove the correctness of the biography invented. But here, the student spoke very convincingly about the man whom he was traveling on a bus with. Tell me, what would this person do if something unexpected happened on the bus? For example, if his neighbor was knocked senseless, and if his old friend, whom he considered dead, entered the bus. How would this person behave? What would he do or say? Guess what kind of a person he was 10 years ago and what he would be like in 10 years. If he won a large amount, what would he spend the money on? And if trouble happened to him and changed his life drastically, how would he behave in the new circumstances? Observation is a distinctive feature of every artistically gifted person. It is their need. Here, Gogol in Dead Souls recalls his youth habits. Even though the quote is long, but it exhaustively illustrates this inner need to observe and fantasize. It was fun for me to drive up to an unfamiliar place for the first time. It didn't matter whether it was a hamlet, a poor county town, a village, a settlement. Curious, childish gaze discovered a lot of intriguing things in it. Nothing escaped the fresh, subtle attention, and poking my nose out of the marching cart, I looked at the infantry officer walking aside, who, God knows from what province, had been brought into the district boredom, and at the merchant who flashed in a Sibirka on a runabout, and I was mentally carried away after them. In case a district administrator was passing by, I was already wondering, where is he going? To a social gathering of a fellow of his, or straight home, so that after sitting on the porch for half an hour until dusk is not quite yet thickened, get round to the table for an early supper with his mother, wife, his wife's sister, and the whole family. And what kind of a conversation would they have? At a time when a homestead maid with a necklace or a boy in a thick jacket would bring after the soup a greasy candle in a long-lasting greasy candlestick. Approaching a hamlet of some landowner, I tried to guess who the landowner himself was, whether he was fat and had sons, or as many as 6 daughters with ringing girlish laughter, games, and the ever-beautiful little sister, and whether they had black eyes, and whether he was cheerful himself or gloomy as September in the last days. Such dreams inhere in many people. However, for an artist, they are not just a manifestation of curiosity, but essential material for creativity. Biography after a portrait. After the first attempts to create a biography of a casual passerby, it is useful to devote the session to the general analysis of the biography after a portrait. It is better to take a portrait reproduction of an unknown person for this purpose. To begin with, you can take a reproduction of modern portrait painting, which is close to us in time. The biography created by the conjoined fantasy from the portrait and its detailed analysis in the session will help in the further independent work in observing random fellow travelers and passers-by. Biography after the way of looking. Try, when walking down the street, looking closely only at the people's eyes. You will see what a variety of ways to look exist, if one put it that way. There will be a moment when it will even appear to you that everyone looks in a different manner, that there is not the slightest similarity in the way people look. Then you will begin to find unifying features of such ways within various groups of people. And then the individuality of each look. Very exciting. It is best to observe the eyes of 2 persons when they communicate with each other, and of course do not know you are watching them. Think about it in that case. Why does one person look at the same object, at the same event in one way and another otherwise? How do you yourself see this event? How do you feel about it? What are you thinking about at this time? Studying the people's views, you will have to reflect about the diversity of characters, about how the peculiarities of a person's connections with the outside world are formed as a result of the life's journey. Let's listen to the English actor Laurence Olivier. Looking and contemplating is one of my favorite pursuits to do. And thank God, one thing is for certain, that I remember details quite well. There are things I had been keeping in my head for 18 years before I used them. How does he do it? Over time, observations of human behavior become an actor's habit and need. Each one forms their own ways and goals of observation, an individual manner of studying life. Observing some passerby talking animatedly with a companion, imagine the incredible. He does not really live, but plays a role. So this passerby is disguised, skillfully made up, and is trying to connect with a new character for him as well. Take a closer look. How does he do it? How does he speak? But in fact, he has a different manner of pronunciation. How does he gesticulate? And in life, he is not inclined to such gestures at all. How does he walk? And his real gait is completely different. Look at how the hell he manages to achieve such natural behavior. This is me. Here is another way to observe. The person you are watching is not him, but you. That is actually, this person is not what he impersonates himself to be, but just like you, your double, twin, your second self with your thoughts, your biography. So to speak, I from an entire world. And now he is playing a role and bears no resemblance to you. How did he manage to do it? How did he change clothes, makeup? How does he hide your everyday gestures, gait, manner of speaking? He even changed your usual rhythm of thoughts. How? And how do they laugh? Observing the manifestations of a person's character, do not lose sight of how they laugh. Dostoevsky even believed that the person's laughter is the key to their character. With laughter, some people completely betray themselves, and you suddenly recognize all their ins and outs. The cheerfulness of a person is a totally given away human trait. Some characters you will not see through for a long time, and then a person laughs sincerely somehow, and all of a sudden their characters spread out before you. So, if you want to look into a person and discover their soul, then delve into not how they silent are, or how they speak, cry, or how they are agitated about noblest ideas, but better look into them when they laugh. A person laughs nicely, that means they are good people. Note, moreover, all the shades, he said through the lips of the adolescent protagonist. Street events. The individual training should include observation of events. It is not at all necessary to wait for any street incident that attracts everyone's attention. Let us agree to call an event an aggregate of actions of an individual or several people who pursue a specific goal and overcome any obstacles, external or internal. We are interested in the live action mechanism. Therefore, to begin with, we will ask the students to observe the course of the plainest events. A young man is waiting for someone at the theater entrance. What is this event in his life? Catch the sequence of all his actions, the struggle of all his thoughts. Guess how his inner life is reflected at the moment on his outer behavior. Do not miss any of the actions that make up this event. The analysis of the students' individual observations in the session must certainly involve the whole group. The narrators are required to speak actively and effectively. They must see what they are talking about and, as it were, implant their visions into the fellow audience. They must select words, look for the most accurate and vivid ones. This is how the elements of speech action are trained imperceptibly. The analysis of a live event as an aggregate of consecutive, expedient, and productive actions is the beginning of comprehending the nature of stage action. Anti-event. When training observation, you can use this technique. Cultivate a super observer in yourself, possessing visual attention that is not subjected to blind instinct. Here you are walking down the street. How does the spotlight of your attention work? Check it out and make sure it instantly responds to any loud or bright event and turns your eyes in that direction. Someone screamed and your attention is there. Oh, what a pretty sheepskin coat, and you cannot take your eyes off. These are events for you, not to mention some street incident. Watch them, there is no sin in that. But sometimes try to act contrary to the instinct. Here you walk. The instinct makes your eyes turn to the next loud or bright event, and you turn away with increased attention to look at the elderly couple walking in front of you. Isn't it interesting to perceive the book of their fate, and let the report on the car accident be completed on the other side of the street, and let the curious mob crowd, and let your eyes and your thoughts be occupied with such an everyday anti-event? It is evident that this touching couple had a hard day today. They are obviously tired, dejected by something. By what? You walk and there are no scenes on the way like a car accident. This is where you can train the super observer with special care. Yes, nothing very loud or very bright you have encountered on the way, but how do your eyes and ears behave? Catch yourself unconsciously peering into something noticeable. Well, for example, someone's irresistible profile, and instantly direct your eyes and thoughts to any unnoticeable thing. To the house windows, a tree, a drain pipe. Take a closer look. Icicles hang about. Ice is touched by the April warmth, and very soon it will jump out of this pipe onto the sidewalk. Is this anti-event not an event? Operation James Bond. We will use the name of the famous movie intelligence officer, which has already become a household name, to exercise the vigilance of the eye, a quality that is absolutely necessary not only for the intelligence officer but also for the actor. Each of you is James Bond. Have in sight an object of observation, a partner, whom you will have to follow throughout the session. They must not suspect anything. As befits a good spy, watch them unnoticed. Here is what you need to find out. What is the mood of your mentee today? Guess why they are exactly that way. What actions and in what sequence did they perform during the time you follow them? Why did they do them? Try to reproduce some of their most typical actions in the same sequence. Guess whom they are spying upon. Track how they do it and how they disguise observation. Try to guess the flow of their thoughts by their actions. Do you have an object in sight? I give 5 minutes for the whole operation. Disperse around the room, do whatever you want. Walk, talk, and observe. Stop. Sit in a semicircle. Who noticed they were being followed? Who gave themselves away? Tell us about the results of the observations. Reproduce the actions of the mentee. Explain them. The exercise can be extended. Set the rules at the beginning of the session, then do any other exercises, and at the end of the session, conduct a survey about the results of observations done throughout the session. Choose a partner. It happens that you need to split into pairs in the exercises. For this, you can train an imperceptible tacit agreement between partners, a kind of interaction exercise. Students are in a semicircle. Choose your partner and let him or her know that you have chosen them, but so that none of us would understand this. Make arrangements with your eyes. No, the wink is a movement too noticeable. I understood who you want to work with. This arrangement is cancelled. Look for another partner. How to understand with whom one can make arrangements, who is free. Human eyes can tell everything if you learn their silent language. It is possible to understand by the eyes, by the finest micromimics only, that the partner is calling you. Try it yourself. Call your partner without consciously moving your eyes, eyebrows, eyelids, or a single eyelash. Try to agree to his or her proposal. Try to refuse. Draw your partner's attention to your neighbor. Scold your partners for their stupidity. Thank them heartily. Shame them. Micromimics are small, almost invisible contractions of facial muscles, which are not realized by us. You don't need to think about it. It appears by itself. It is generated by our thoughts, visions, emotions. If you are full of desire for your partners to understand your call, and if the partners themselves, this is extremely important, try to understand you, and if at the same time your imagination is working vividly, and you see with your inner vision how the partners stand up and approach you, your micromimics will tell everything to your partners, and they will really want to get up and come up to us. But you will unravel the moment when this desire of your partner arises, and with your eyes will stop them. Wait, it is not the time yet. Now we will find out who failed to tacitly make an agreement with a partner. On the count of 3, run to your chosen one and grab them tightly. 1, 2, 3. This moment is the most emotional in the exercise. Students rush to their prospective partners. Predictable alliances and unexpected misunderstandings occur due to the inaccuracy of hypnotic suggestions. In a word, the actor's ability to inspire a partner with their visions is tested in action.